Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? We like them in Shanghai! Oh, wait, never mind. Vegas. We like them in Vegas. Sorry.
Yes. We are on the road to UFC 296, but we have one more stop. One more stop to the Apex for UFC Vegas 83, where the bantamweight division will take center stage. Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez, the main event. We have a pretty fascinating light heavyweight co-main event between Anthony Smith and Khalil Rountree. We'll talk about that and much more here as we're live on the UFC Vegas 83 preview show. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. I am Mike Heck, and I do not do this alone, thank goodness. We have my fellow New Englander, now out in Phoenix, Arizona, Mr. José Youngs. Where is he? There he is. How you feeling, buddy? As a Red Sox fan, waiting for this Ohtani sweepstakes, not feeling good?
I mean, I never thought we were going to get Shohei Ohtani. That felt like a pipe dream. The fact that the Yankees got Juan Soto is pretty annoying. I'm literally waiting for the Red Sox to do anything at all, especially if Ohtani goes to the Blue Jays, which if he's going to go to an AL East team, I have the least amount of opinions on him going to the Blue Jays, so I just want it over with.
Yes. Also joining us, fresh off a really spirited battle on BTL yesterday against Luke Thomas, Mr. Jed Meshew, the now president of the Mike Bobo fan club. Oh, Shang Vegas, baby. How you doing, Jed? You're muted, but I know what you're saying. Mike, great to be here. Thank you for that incredible introduction. I agree with everything you just said, right?
You nailed it. It's shocking how impressive you are at reading lips, Mike. Those were all the words I said. There's nothing negative in that. So happy to be here for Shang Vegas, baby. Let's go.
Yes, nothing to demonetize us so early into the program. We appreciate that. Jose, look, you are a fan of high-level martial arts competition. And while stakes and storylines are fun, oftentimes we just get a really fun card. We just get a nice fun card with some compelling matchups and some decent storylines. I feel like for, the typical crop of Apex events, just looking at it matchup for matchup, this is pretty decent. This is a pretty good card, is it not?
Yeah, it's by any means not the worst fight night card we've ever had at the Apex, and it's not the best. If we're on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably like a 6.5, 7-ish. I know that's kind of a cop-out because 7 seems to be the grade that we give anything that we don't want to say is good or bad. But the top 3 fights are a lot of fun. Even like the whole main card is fun in terms of matchups. There's not a lot of stakes whatsoever. It seems like a lot of placeholder fights for guys defending their ranking or possibly getting another fight after this, but no one on the main card is fighting for a title anytime soon, meritocracy-wise. The co-main event, maybe, just because there's a storyline with the champion, with one of the individuals, but a lot of fan favorites, a lot of fighters that fans enjoy talking about. I'm already seeing some in the comments right now, which can't imagine how many turtle emojis are going to pop up as the longer we talk about this card, but yeah, a lot of fun names, a lot of fun matchups, but again, not a lot of title implications on this card.
Jed, you're a pretty honest guy, and you're on BTL, and you put this card over a bit. How are we feeling now? The day before,
Mike, look right here, Mike. I'm sorry.
Oh, we have a star.
Do you see that? That's a
one star,
Michelin star right there. This is a first. I think this might be the first Apex card that has ever earned a star. But, it's the holiday season. Hanukkah started. Christmas is right around the corner. I'm feeling a little generous. And it's a good card. It has its flaws. The fact that it's not going to start until 10 p.m. East Coast is going to be tough. But like Jose said, the top couple of fights here are quite good. And the rest of the main cards just has like good, interesting matchups there's like a lot of top 30 dudes on this card, right? There's not a lot of super high end. I think the main event is 2 top 15-ish bantamweights. And then the co-main event, I guess Khalil Rountree is probably a top 15 light heavyweight. I didn't actually go look. And then, but there's still bottom end of those top 15. There's not like a top 5 guy competing this week, but you got those. And then you've got several top 30-ish dudes across a smattering of decent weight classes. So I think it's going to be fun. It's only 11 fights as of now. You never know. Weigh-ins could always mean we lose one more, particularly since Luana Santos missed weight by a whole lot, so we'll see how that fight ends up playing out. If we get down to 10, then this is just a tidy little Saturday evening. So it's earned a coveted Michelin star.
Wow. Yeah, Luana Santos missed by 3 pounds. No word on whether or not that fight will go on. I assume it will, with a nice hefty, forfeiture of purse percentage to the opponent, but we'll see what happens. Our guru of weigh-ins, Alexander K. Lee, is monitoring everything. Everyone has stepped on the scale except for Anthony Smith. He's the one guy who has not stepped on the scale yet, and we will let you know what happens there. But Jose, let's talk about this main event. Bantamweight division never really let you down. We got Song Yadong, young, hungry whippersnapper. Even though he lost to Corey Sandhagen, he proved he belonged at the top echelon of this division, that he can hang with those guys. Great performance even in defeat. He's bounced back. Great performance against Ricky Simone. And now he gets Chris Gutierrez here. It's a little bit of a step back compared to those two gentlemen, but Chris is still tougher than a $2 steak, quoting good old Jim Ross. But what do you think of the matchup here? Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez, who has quietly put together a really solid resume since entering the UFC a few years back.
Yeah, I love this fight. Love everything about this fight. This seems like two individuals, two bantamweights, two young bantamweights, especially Song. He's still one of the youngest, like in any division's top 15. The third straight main event, correct? If I remember correctly.
Yep.
Two very different types of strikers. Chris Gutierrez seems to just kind of beat you like methodically and violently, like he cuts you up. And Song Yadong has this thudding power that can just turn your brain off, especially later in the rounds, like he did to Ricky Simone. The knockout, I believe, was in the 5th round even. So, yeah, he was in there with Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen is just like a top 4 bantamweight in the world, but he was right there with him until the doctor stoppage. So I love everything about this fight. I'm glad that they're getting a main event. This obviously, if they're going to a city that's not, like this fight was supposed to be in Shanghai, it would have made sense for Song to headline. I don't think this could headline a card like last weekend in Austin, or if they went to San Antonio or Charlotte or whatever. But this is a good Apex main event. I want to see Chris Gutierrez in a 5-round fight, Song Yadong. I feel like we've been talking about him as a future title contender for a long time, to the point where he's no longer a prospect. Yeah, I love everything about this fight. Awesome main event. I know the co-main event seems to have people talking a lot more, but in terms of the actual fight and skill-wise, the questions they present, I'm glad this is the main event, because I want to see Chris in a 5-round fight and how he does against like a top 7 bantamweight. I think he deserves that. I know the word deserves is kind of we don't like throwing that word around in the mixed martial arts world, but I think he's put in the work. He deserves at least a shot at a 5-round fight in the top 10 opponent. So yeah, love everything about this main event.
Jed, kind of a similar question to last week, because we had Arman Tsarukyan versus Beneil Dariush, and we saw the betting lines. You're obviously one half of the betting tandem with No Bets Barred. And a lot of people, myself included, thought line was a little wide for Arman Tsarukyan, that Benny had a lot of value, and turned out that was not really the case, because Tsarukyan delivered in spades. But look at the betting lines here. Song Yadong, almost a minus 400. He's minus 380. The comeback on Chris Gutierrez is plus 300. Look, I know Song has been in there with higher competition. He's a little more proven in terms of guys he's fought and guys he has wins over. But Chris Gutierrez is no slouch. I'm kind of surprised to see Chris Gutierrez such a big underdog here. Do you feel that this line is a little wide here?
Yep. And that gives me a whole lot of concern, because, like you said, we had this exact same conversation last week, and it took your boy all of 64 seconds to be like, yeah, no, line was okay. Line was totally fine. There wasn't a lot of value in Beneil Dariush. And so, like, honestly, this could be extremely similar, where it's like, this feels like Chris Gutierrez is super tough. I think he's only been stopped once in his career. Yeah, Song, hits like a truck or whatever, but Chris Gutierrez is really tough, really dogged, and like the way he fights makes him a problem as fights go on too. I mean, the low kicks are just going to be there. Song's going to have to deal with it. In my head, this fight is much closer. I would still favor Song Yadong. Like, I am very high on his prospects in this weight class, but it seems a bit steep. But I mean, I guess that's just because other people are on the train. Like, his last couple of performances. Yeah, he lost to Corey Sandhagen, but as Luke pointed out on BTL yesterday, that fight was really competitive until the cut. Like Song Yadong did not get totally steamrolled in that fight. And Corey Sandhagen is one of the very best fighters in the world. So I, I understand it, but I still think this line should be a little closer than it is.
Jose, you made a really interesting point about Song Yadong. Like, you don't call him a prospect anymore, but in a lot of cases, when people talk about Song, it's like he's still a 21-year-old kid. Like, oh, we get to just kind of slow roll him. Oh, he lost to Sandhagen. Maybe that was too much too soon. And then we just, we don't really need to gas him up too quickly. But he is 26. He's been doing this for a while. And if he goes out there and beats Chris Gutierrez, he said he's going to call out for that Piotr Jan fight. Now we get Davis and Figueiredo in the division, which just continues to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Where does Song go? I mean, I know you want to see the performance before you answer this, but if he goes out, it's a step back. Yes, Chris is still very good, but it is still a step back from the Sandhagens of the world. What does a win over Chris Gutierrez do for Song Yadong at 26 years of age?
I mean, it gets him another half of his paycheck, which is always the most important thing when you win. But it's weird because the bantamweight division we talk about is so fun. And there's like anyone in the top 10 could theoretically be a UFC bantamweight champion. The problem right now, and I say problem, even that's not the right word. Sean O'Malley is such a superstar that I don't see him fighting guys, like Song or Chris Gutierrez or any of these guys that don't drum up a ton of interest online. And that's unfortunate. It's like when Conor McGregor won the lightweight champion, and then he basically just fought in fights that drummed up tons of interest as prize fighters, which is not a problem. But if we're talking about deserve, I know I just said we don't use that or throw that word around, but like Merab should be fighting for the title right now. Instead, it's Marlon Vera because there's the storyline and they can sell that. I don't see Song or Chris Gutierrez being that guy that's going to drum up tons of interest online, especially from Sean O'Malley's fan base, which is very heavily Gen Z on social media and gaming and the weed consumers of the world. He's going to want guys with names like Umar, former champions like Figueiredo. He even called Corey Sandhagen boring, which is just so odd because Corey Sandhagen is one of the most exciting fighters in all of the UFC, not just the bantamweight division. So Song will most likely, get into that top. I don't know where he's ranked in ours. I don't even know where he's ranked in the UFC right now. But I don't know. I truly don't know because there seems to be this champion at the top that is going to pick these money fights, and Sean O'Malley, and he got himself to that position. He can do what he wants. I don't see Song being the guy that the UFC is going to be like, you have to fight this guy. Maybe obviously if they go to China, obviously I don't see Sean O'Malley flying to China to fight Song Yadong in the main event of a pay-per-view, but he could get that Piotr Jan fight. I think that'd be a lot of fun, especially if they do go to China. Piotr Jan versus Song Yadong could absolutely headline a fight night in China, or the UFC's talked about going to Thailand a lot. Piotr Jan trains in Thailand at Tiger Muay Thai. Song Yadong can get to Thailand. I think that'd be a great, fight night to have a main event if the UFC wants to break ground in Thailand. I think that fight would make sense. He has the win over Marlon Vera. That's controversial. That would have been a fun fight if Marlon Vera, probably ranking wise too, they're a lot closer than, I feel like Song and Marlon are closer in rankings than Marlon and Sean O'Malley are in the rankings. So any of those fights would be fun. I just don't see Song fighting for the title anytime soon, just because Sean O'Malley is champion right now.
Song is number 12 in our rankings. He's number 7 in the UFC's rankings. And I want to get back to that in a second, but what do you think, Jed? I mean, and then on the same token, Chris Gutierrez, because he fought Frankie Edgar. Yes, it was a sad ending for the career of Frankie Edgar, but it was a big moment for Chris Gutierrez. Gets the flying knee at Madison Square Garden on a pay-per-view main card. Mark Montoya, everything he's dealt with, which you saw in the UFC Austin broadcast last week, overcoming cancer and having to deal with all of that. So Chris fought with a pretty heavy heart, lost to Pedro Munoz, but he kind of thought he would become like a made guy after beating Frankie Edgar. And that really didn't happen because of just the unceremonious exit for Frankie. But if he goes out there and beats Song Yadong, does that, I don't know if it makes him totally, but at least he's on much more radars here in the MMA space. What is at stake for these two guys?
It's a really good question. So Gutierrez, what's at stake is any hope he has of fighting for a title or like being a top 5-ish guy. If he loses this, it's probably done. And that might be a bit early, but you're right. Like he got his opportunity to be a made man, did his job, and it didn't take. And that's just a bit unfortunate, sort of how the ball broke for him. And now he's not old; he's 32 or whatever. But bantamweight is not a division that you can suffer setbacks when you're in your 30s. Like it's just not going to work. Song, like, and conversely, if he wins, like now he has won a main event over a guy that some people know and that is at least highly touted. Like he now gets to be in that conversation for a top 10 dude next. Song, I think Song obviously going to get a little bit more push if he gets a win here. He'll get to fight up instead of defending his position. But who he's going to fight, I have no idea. And that's sort of the trick about what's about to happen here. Because Jose pointed out correctly that Sean O'Malley is probably not taking on all comers as the champion. But this is going to get way worse than just that. This is about to be, bantamweight is about to be lightweight, 4 years ago, where O'Malley is this budding superstar and he's going to fight Chito Vera. And if that goes well, then I truly don't know who he will deign to fight, but it won't be a lot. And conversely, if Chito wins, I love Chito and I don't think Chito's afraid of anybody, but Chito, by beating Sean O'Malley, already Chito is a star. He will elevate to such a level that he will now not want to really fight backwards and fight Marab or whatever, because what does that do for you? This is a situation lightweight had after Connor won and then beating Connor elevated you. It's just going to create this jumble. And so Song's going to, like, if he wins this fight, it's great. He's number 7 or whatever in the UFC. Just lost to Corey Sandhagen. I don't think he's going to get the Petr Yan fight. I mean, I guess maybe he could, but sort of feels like Davidson Figueiredo's got the inside track on that, which then leaves him as who? Like, who's he fight? Does he just get stuck with the Merab Dvalishvili pill? Does he get stuck with the Umar pill? Like, I'm not sure what either man is fighting for other than to not lose traction in a weight class that is really, really, really hard to move up the mountain on.
Maybe fights Rob Font. Could just do that one. They were supposed to fight in August anyways. But
Font coming off the loss, like, is that
2 losses, right?
No,
like,
he knocked out
like
Yana.
4
Oh, yeah,
in-
2.
four-
Lost, yeah, right.
Yeah, but like 4 in his last 5 or whatever. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Does that appeal to? Because that also will still be fighting backwards for him.
Figueiredo seems to be the linchpin. Like, if they do make, like, the Petr Yan fight is awesome in terms of like how that fight will play out, but is anyone going to bat an eye if they book Figueiredo versus Dominic Cruz, like 2 former champions fighting each other, and then that frees up Petr Yan? That would also be a lot of fun. It just
Figueiredo. You're so close. There's a different former champion that Figgy Smalls needs to be fighting, and his name is Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, could be too.
Hey, look.
He's got a fight in a week.
I know.
Yeah.
If Cody comes through that, let's do it, man. Figgy Cody, let's make it happen. That frees up Piotr. We're all gravy.
Hey, look. Like you said, Jed, Marlon Vera, if he beats, he's already in one of the tiers of stars right now. He goes out there and just obliterates Sean O'Malley. He gets over even more. He wants that Song Yadong fight back. He felt like he kind of got the big fat host job there. So maybe he calls for that. Maybe he calls for the rematch. Maybe he's got a little bit of clout.
I think Cejudo's just the guy who's going to fight for a title after.
I think Cejudo's about to fight Cejudo's about to fight Marab.
Yeah, they got
for a number 1 contender. Because if Cejudo beats Marab, then they're on. If Cejudo, the winner of Marab and Cejudo, there really is no argument in giving him the title shot. Like, that would be deserving, and they would be a big fight.
Yeah.
Yep. Bantamweight's fun.
I don't know if O'Malley takes the fight. I wouldn't if I were him.
With Marab, he'd fight Cejudo for sure.
I'd fight Cejudo, but I'd still probably be bad. I wouldn't fight Marab, though. That's just going to not work out well for you, man.
Well, we'll see how that all plays out. But let's go to picks right now. Song Yadong, like I said, Jose, big favorite, minus 380 to come back, and Chris Gutierrez plus 300. Will the leg kicks prevail the longer the fight goes, or is Song Yadong going to get his hand raised at the end of the night?
I think Song Yadong's going to get his hand raised at the end of the night. I filled in for you on to the next one a few weeks ago or months ago, whatever fight card that was, and I made a point where, winning, like, who you beat, I look at, but I look at more of who you lost to and how you lost to, and being kind of neck and neck with Corey until Corey kind of took over a slight edge until the cut is a lot more impressive than Chris Gutierrez's wins, I think. And I know he lost to Kyler Phillips, but he also, beating Marlon Vera, even if it was controversial, still beating Marlon Vera, beating Julio Arce, beating Casey Kenny, beating all these guys, knocking out Ricky Simone in the 5th round is super impressive. And Chris Gutierrez did knock out front kick Frankie Edgar. It was Frankie Edgar in his last fight ever. Outside of that, I just think Song Yadong has looked more impressive against higher level competition. I'm not going to pick him to get knocked out. I can't even remember Chris Gutierrez ever getting knocked out. I know he's been submitted.
I don't
But
think he has.
Never been knocked out.
I know he's been not submitted by Hany Barcelos, which might have even been his UFC debut.
That was his UFC debut.
It was.
Yeah, that was on a Tough Finale or a UFC Fight Night. One of those two.
One of the tough. It was one of the tough.
Yeah. But like, I think he's so talented and so durable, and that gym is on fire right now. I just think Song pulls off. I think Song pulls off the decision win.
Jed, you're going with Song, right?
What are you doing?
What?
Sorry, I'm watching the PFL, and this referee is an asshole.
Why are you watching? Wait a second. So you're watching the PFL and nobody else can, at least in the US?
Yeah. I mean, you can, but it's
sucks
not
to me.
technically. Don't worry about how I'm watching the PFL, Mike. We good. This referee just bungled something though. But it's fine. Yeah, I'm picking Song. I'm super high on him. I think Gutierrez is. I think he's going to be in there the whole time. If Song stops Gutierrez, then that will really, really be impressive. Because, like Jose was saying, dude's never been stopped. He's extremely durable. I think he's just got a little bit too much firepower on the feet, and while Gutierrez maybe it's going to hang in there and like not concede or whatever. I think it's just going to be he's eating the heavier shots over the course of time. The leg kicks are really interesting, but I suspect that Team Alpha Male has at least some sort of a plan for mitigating that as best they can and doing enough to kind of win 4 rounds out of 5, maybe just 3 out of 2. But I like Song Yadong here in this spot. Though I do have a bet on Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, I think there's value on Chris at that number.
That's 300.
Yeah, if he sticks around, I mean, things could get real interesting. I know Song Yadong doesn't wrestle a lot. He's not a big takedown guy. Like, he gets them when he wants them, but he doesn't do it all that often. I kind of think he's going to wrestle here a little bit. I think he might just kind of wear on Chris and take those leg kicks out of the equation, at least early on. What's happening?
He's trying to hit the dummy arm bar. It's great. It's from scarf position where you try and get the straight arm lock with your legs. And instead it's very interesting, sort of bad MMA happening at PFL Europe right now.
Wow, that's the co-leader for you. I'm picking Song Yadong. Long story short, I'm picking Song Yadong. I think he wins the decision. I think Chris hangs out, gets to the end, gets to the final horn. I don't know if it's a 49-46 or 48-47. I do think Gutierrez can make this real interesting. I do think he can keep this thing close. But I could see a world where Song wins the first 2 rounds. Maybe Gutierrez wins round 3, and then we get real interesting. So, but I do think Song is able to stave off a last-ditch effort from Chris Gutierrez to try to get him out of there, and Song gets the victory. So there you go. Jed just has me enthralled by what's going on with this PFL Europe card.
Look, the smart cage catches a lot of flack, and it should. This is objectively funny as they have a strike counter going, and he's got homie in the scarf hold lock, and he's trying to attack the arm, but he's also just got this little headlock, and so he's jamming punches right here, and the ticker is just going up one by one by one, and it's 90 ground strikes as he's doing this to this guy and trying to break his arm with his legs. That's objectively funny. Good work, Smart Cage.
Yes, shout out to the Spark Cage. Jose, we got Anthony Smith taking a fight on little under 2 weeks' notice. Took the fight. I believe Dana White made the announcement the day of the PFL World Championship, the day after Thanksgiving. Stepping in against Khalil Rountree, who's on a real good run right now. I don't know if you got to see this man on the scales. He looks freaking shredded. He looks ginormous. Anthony Smith still yet to weigh in, but like you said, man, there's a lot on the line here. Like, Anthony Smith taking this fight as an underdog is one thing. He's got history with the current champion right now. They're going back and forth in the headlines. And you can't bench Alex Pereira right now. Like, he's got too much momentum coming off of the title win that I don't think they're going to have him wait to fight Jamal Hill or whoever it is. Rakic isn't even fighting Blachowicz anymore. I feel like there's a lot on the line here for Anthony Smith. And if you look at Khalil Rountree's current resume and guys he's beat, it is not out of the realm of possibility for Anthony Smith to be competitive, possibly even win this fight. I really like this fight, Jose. I really like it.
I really like this fight too. If Khalil Rountree wins, he's not fighting for the title. I would imagine that the winner of Johnny Walker and Ankalaev, the rematch, they'll probably get preferential treatment for a title shot, especially if they win fantastically. And is that the main event of the first fight night of the year next year? I know it's a main event sometime in Q1. I just don't remember the exact date. Anthony Smith winning, especially if it's by an impressive stoppage, I could see them giving him the title shot just because, they have been going back and forth. Anthony Smith is obviously a incredibly talented analyst, and he's very good on the microphone, so he can sell this fight. Anytime you get any sort of emotion from Alex Pereira, that seems to be, it's almost the impossible, like to get him to show any sort of anger, happiness, sadness, any sense of anything. And Anthony Smith drums that up just based off what he said. That I don't disagree with what he was saying about Alex Pereira, that he is a big, scary guy, but there are a lot of weaknesses in his game. And I think Anthony Smith's skill set as an incredibly high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner, he's got all these knockouts and all these TKO wins. He is so talented at jiu-jitsu that I think if there's one guy he's going to beat in the light heavyweight division that's champion, I feel like Alex is the guy. I don't see him beating a lot of guys in the top 5 for the title. Alex might be the one because where Anthony Smith is really good, that's his biggest weakness. So they can make that happen, especially if Alex doesn't want to wait around. The Jamal Hill fight would be super interesting too, in terms of Alex. But yeah, I think Anthony Smith losing would probably put a big dent in his title aspirations, but Anthony Smith winning, the fact that we're having this debate is telling. Could Anthony Smith fight for the title next? And most of us would be like, yeah, that is a realm of possibility. It's super interesting. I don't love that he's taking this fight on short notice again, because I don't like when anyone's doing that against someone that could kick your knee the other way, like Khalil Rountree. But something tells me that, Anthony Smith training with Mark Montari, he's taking a lot of leg kicks, especially in that gym. It's going to be an awesome fight. I haven't even decided who I'm picking to win yet, but yeah, love this fight. Love everything about it. I'm glad Khalil's getting a big name. Who is he supposed to fight?
Mirzakhanov.
Yeah, a guy with an OV at the end. That would have been real bad. Anthony Smith has a bigger name and is probably a guy that's not an easier fight, but the risk to reward is a lot bigger against a guy that ends in OV in the UFC. And Anthony Smith is a big name that fans know from ESPN. So I think this is obviously a better fight for Khalil. Yeah, awesome fight. Love everything about it.
Jed, your thoughts on the matchup? Look, we know Khalil Rountree's not getting a title shot if he wins. Him and Alex Pereira in the future is ridiculously fun.
Yeah.
Sure?
But it's not right. Come on. It's not right now. It's not right now.
Who's getting it? Who's getting it right now? Like, if we're in a world where Anthony Smith can get in there and get it, and I agree that that's very possible. If he gets the W here, cuts a promo, there's some heat there. I'm just saying, Khalil Rountree goes in. It's his 5th win in a row. Anthony Smith, a former title challenger, well-known guy, well-liked guy. If he comes in there, he dusts up Anthony Smith, and he gets on the mic and is like, Dana White, Sean Shelby, everybody, guess what? I'm 3-0 against glory kickboxers in the UFC. I make my bread and butter is beating glory kickboxers. One of them's holding the belt. I'm going to come blow that dude up. I'd watch it. We'd all tune in to watch it, because let me tell you, 1, there's not a clear-cut contender, as we've established. And 2, does that fight have any possibility of being boring? There's zero chance that if you put Khalil Rountree Jr. and Alex Pereira into a fist fight in a cage, that fireworks are not going to ensue. There's a lot worse reasons to book a title fight than, we don't really have anything else going on, and this would be pretty damn sick. So I think that there is an outside chance he could do it. He's got to cut a heck of a promo. Just getting a W and being like, I'll beat whoever is not going to do it. But he can throw his name in a hat and maybe make it happen for him, because there isn't somebody who is demanding to get the next title shot. And Pereira wants to stay active, right? Like, he wants to get in there and fight kind of early next year. I think Rountree needs to make a statement and make an effort here, but I think he also has a chance Not as good as if Smith wins, but I still think he's got a shot at it.
It would be a fun fight. By the way, Anthony Smith did make weight, 205.5. Good to go for his fight with Khalil Rountree.
Also, don't forget the promotion literally less than a year ago elevated Jamal Hill from number 8 to title contender on a whim. They can absolutely do the same thing with Khalil Rountree if he goes and dusts up one of their favorite sons. Like, I think that really can happen, and it should. It'd be awesome.
And who was Jamal Hill supposed to fight before they did that? Anthony Smith.
Full circle, baby.
We're going full circle here. Well, Jed, will Khalil Rountree at least check off the first box? Will he get the win before getting a microphone in his face?
I am deeply unsure. I lean towards him just because Anthony Smith is coming in on short notice, but and he's looked pretty faded. Like not awful, not like Tony Ferguson levels of cooked, but certainly on the well done side of cooked. It's just hard to tell because Khalil Rountree is not a terrific defensive wrestler. And if he gets taken down, Anthony Smith needs 2 takedowns. Like that is what he needs to win this fight. And that's not asking a whole lot against Khalil Rountree, but I am going to err on the side of one dude has been prepping for a fight, the other coming in at least without full preparation. And Khalil Rountree is just a hammer. So give me Rountree by KO in the first or second.
Jose, have you landed anywhere here? It's tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, if this was the original booked fight and Anthony Smith was coming in on like an 8-week camp, I probably would have picked Anthony Smith, just because I just think he has more. I think Khalil Rountree is extremely good, like Jed said, at a very specific aspect of mixed martial arts, and we haven't really seen anything else outside of that. He's an incredible kickboxer, Muay Thai practitioner, striker. Like knocking out Gokhan Saki is incredible. Beating Dustin Jacoby is incredible. Beating all of these guys, all of these highlight, welcoming Chris Dawkins, who at one point was on a short list for one of the heavyweight prospects in all of mixed martial arts, is very impressive. Anthony Smith has more losses than Khalil Rountree has like total fights in his entire career. So we've seen more of the tool bag in Anthony Smith. He's been in more main events. So I'm just going to play devil's advocate. And I say this still 50-50 on the fence. I'm just going to pick Anthony Smith by submission so I can be different because it's boring when everyone agrees all of the time. So I'm going to say Anthony Smith, second round submission. I think he's going to, shoot in or get him against fence, take him down, and then just rear naked choke him a la the Ryan Spann fight, the first Ryan Spann fight.
I love this pick, Jose, because that is what I have a bet on in this fight.
You have Anthony Smith by submission?
By submission, yeah. Like he's a pretty big underdog and he has like a very clear path to win. So Anthony Smith by submissions plus 550 is like, that seems really possible.
This is also, and I'm not comparing any of these guys to each other, but when Tristan Connolly took that short fight against Michel Pereira, he said he took that fight on short notice because he's trained with a lot of guys that are like Michel Pereira. So he's like, I know what I can do. I probably wouldn't have taken the short fight against someone with a different skill set. Yeah,
It's also the most insane thing I've ever heard. I've trained with a lot of dudes like Michel Pereira. Lunatics?
Yeah,
prior to his like recent run, he was just a nutcase.
Capoeira fighters, more specifically. So I feel like Anthony Smith, especially at with Mark Montoya, has fought a lot of guys that are very good kickboxers. So
like Dustin
Jacoby. I'm not saying this is Anthony Smith has said this, but since Tristan Connolly has said that, I kind of look at fights, short notice fights like that. Like, I don't think Anthony Smith would have taken a fight against, say, like I don't know who's a guy in the light heavyweight division that Anthony Smith hasn't fought that is incredibly well run. I don't think he'd take a short notice fight against Ankalaev again because or any perfect the perfect
if it went the other way, if it was
exactly. Don't know if this was a fight he would have taken, but like Anthony Smith's probably fought a lot of kickboxers and has probably been the main. And like Mike said, I have a feeling that Anthony Smith trained with Dustin Jacoby before Dustin Jacoby fought Khalil Rountree and watched that fight and knows what to do. So, Not saying Anthony Smith said this, not saying this is why he took it, but something tells me Anthony Smith has fought in a lot of high-level kickboxing in his career.
Yeah. Because like when I wrote that story up that day when Dana announced it, my first like initial thought was, why? I was like, ooh, this is bad. And then I really thought about it. And I was like, Anthony's a pretty smart guy. Like he's beyond the days of I'll just fight every weekend. He's pretty strategic about it, what he wants to do. He wants to continue to fight, but he is a little more strategic about things.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Like if this is Mirzakhanov needing a short notice replacement, I don't think he does this, but I think he sees something in this matchup that makes him extremely confident.
Yeah.
And I am picking Anthony Smith as well. I don't know if it's going to be a submission. I do think he gets a stoppage, whether it's a submission or like he gets in full mount and delivers a TKO or something of that nature. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Khalil Rountree went out there and just knocked him out in the first round. Like that could very well happen. But like Jed said, he's got a clear path to victory. If he can get a couple of takedowns, he's probably going to win this fight. And I think he gets that. So
of every fight on the main card, this fight could end in any way, and I wouldn't be surprised. It could be a knockout. It could be a submission. It could be a split decision. It could be a 30-25. It could be a draw. It could be a DQ, and none of us would be
Khalil
like, yeah.
taps him, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, that'd be pretty weird.
But yeah, that's about it.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, outside of that, anything could happen in this fight, and I'd be like, yeah, that is very easily a realm of possibility.
It's a good one. It's a good fight.
Awesome.
Sneaky good. Very, very good. Sumadeji, Tim Elliott, Nazareth Hackpress, Jamie Malarkey. That's part of the main card. Main card opens with the Iron Turtle. I'm sure very popular fighter in the comments in the chat right now. Taking on Andre Muniz, man. Go ahead, Jose.
Is that what opens the main card?
It's either the first or second fight of the main card. I'll tell you what, when one of the days you were not here, I think, Mike, you were either on vacation or out or something, and Casey was also out. I had to produce the post show, and I know it was Jed and Eric, but I don't remember who was hosting. It might have just been you two, and then I came in and did the Casey role. And
probably
when I had to queue up fan questions, I literally couldn't find questions because it was just flooded with turtle emojis nonstop. There was probably like 60 just comments of turtle emojis. So yeah, you could say the Iron Turtle's popular.
Dude, the turtle is in the MMA Hour chat every week. They love the turtle.
Oh yeah.
And he's fighting Andre Muniz, Jed. Remember ranking shows over the last 18 months or so?
It's the best.
Us talking about Andre Muniz.
This is A+ matchmaking.
I mean, geez. I mean, we were talking about like this guy could fight for the belt. Like this guy could definitely fight for the belt. And then bam.
We got hooked.
We got hooked. Brandon Allen, then Paul Craig, and now he's staring down the barrel of a 3-fight losing streak here, Jed. It's crazy. What this sport, the turns, the momentum swings, the roller coaster ride that is MMA. It's pretty wild.
Look at you guys. You guys just picked the wrong middleweight when the Iron Turtle was sitting there just taking scalps, and Andre Muniz just ran into a wall.
In our defense, he tapped Jacare. What the hell else are we supposed to think?
Hey, man.
Like, that's just an insane thing. Like, hey, sure, he lost Azamat Mirzakhanov a million years ago, but also Mirzakhanov's pretty decent in his own right.
You're telling me submitting Jacare is better than pulling off a decision win against Marc-Andre Barriault? The disrespect.
You know, at the time, particularly given that you're coming off a loss, I would have said, yeah. But that's why this fight's great. Mike talked about it yesterday. Like this is Sean Shelby just dealing right here. Let's take one of the great overachievers in the middleweight division, and really just in the UFC in general today, in the Iron Turtle and Jun Young Park, and let's pair him against one of the great underachievers in Andre Muniz, given how much hype, how much expectation we had on him, and he has just laid the biggest goose egg in his last two outings. And let's match them up and let's see how these two forces meet. Yeah. I got to say, it seems pretty likely that's what's going to happen, is that the overachiever is going to beat the underachiever.
Yeah,
and suddenly Andre Muniz is going to be on a 3-fight losing streak, and we're going to look back and be like, dude, you guys remember when he broke Jacare's arm? That was pretty wild. Can't believe that's a thing that happened. And so it's just, I have no idea what to make about Andre Muniz. I love this fight. I think this is exceptional matchmaking, and I'm excited for the ride of the Iron Turtle to continue on.
And then people forget that Andre Muniz's win over Uriah Hall was not even remotely exciting. Like that was
it was ugly.
Yeah. Like I actually got to watch that fight backstage because there was nothing happening. I'm like, I feel like this is just one 15-minute round, but yeah, I agree with you.
That was when we're all like, we expected more, but he still won. That's fine. Like he still won. He's going to beat Brendan Allen. And then Brendan Allen just hustled him, just embarrassed him.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And now he's done. MMA, fickle sport.
Dricus du Plessis was on that card too, and things got a little hairy there.
That was a big middleweight card that had the championship at the top. That had Muniz,
was Brad Tavares.
DDP. Yeah, DDP beat Brad Tavares on the prelims. Alex Pereira KO'd Strickland. That was a big middleweight card.
Just think about it at the time, because like if you'd asked anyone, probably anywhere, I mean, like, which of these middleweights is going to do more? Is it going to be Dricus du Plessis, who looks tired 4 seconds in and like has to beat Brad Tavares in a nip tuck, or Andre Muniz, who just tapped Jacare? We're all like, Andre Muniz is the future title challenger. And boy, we were all wrong.
We had Muniz in like most of us had Muniz in the top 10. Crazy sport. But
looking at this card, of the 6 middleweights, Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, Brad Tavares, Andre Muniz, Uriah Hall. Muniz is at best the 4th best one of those middleweights, and quite arguably 5. Damn. And we would have all put him 1. Like, I think everyone at the time would have been like, that's the best middleweight on the card.
I remember those days. Yep. I remember those days very well. I remember watching that fight with you, Jose, like literally in the same room with you, or the same tent, if you will, at T-Mobile Arena, International Fight Week 2022. What a time.
Oh, yeah, you were at that card, huh?
I was there.
What a difference 18 months can make.
It really can. Really can. Casey, come on in. There he is. Oh, God. He's got the guns out right now.
Hey.
You're hurting people's feelings, Casey. Put a shirt on. What do we got here? What are the peeps saying? Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
All right, to the peeps. Not too many questions, honestly, today.
Nope.
But
no low-key banger?
Yeah.
What's the low-key banger, Jed? Low-key banger.
I have talked myself into the actual card opener of Ryan Dos Santos Talita Alencar, because, I mean, this is an atom weight fight, which is kind of fun. Like it's masquerading as a strawweight fight, but both of these women are really atom weights. And Alencar's a 8 billion time over world champion. Dos Santos is the Invicta champion, who, I mean, I guess not technically was now, right? Like she didn't lose it, but she joined the UFC. Really good, but also primarily a grappler. I think it's probably going to be super fun scrambles, and I'm in on it. So
it's a good one.
Shout out to the card opener.
Jose?
Tatsuro Taira, baby. I'm always excited to watch him fight. 4 wins in a row. Fifth. I feel like he's going to be a guy next year that we're going to be talking about, like when we do which unranked guy could possibly fight for the title. Like,
is he unranked? He has to be ranked, right?
I honestly don't know. I couldn't.
I feel relatively confident that I've given him a ranking because I love
it's just his
dearly.
Competition, not really him himself.
It's true. It is true. It has been
it's not because they're slowly building him up. He's fighting a lot of guys that don't have Wikipedia pages. I'm always down. I always enjoy watching him fight. He's what, 22? 23. Yeah. Also, his post-fight interviews,
24 in January.
His post-fight press conferences are so endearing. Like when he was like, "What are you going to do to celebrate?" and this and that, and he was so excited to go to In-N-Out, and then he apologized to his mouthpiece for throwing it. He's like, "I'm very sorry to my mouthpiece. I won't do that to you again." Like he spoke to his mouthpiece as if it was a sentient being. I'm looking forward to his press. If he wins, his press conference just as much as his fight.
What do you guys think about how the UFC, or maybe Tatsu? How do you say his first name?
Tatsuro.
Sorry,
Tatsuro Taira.
Tatsuro Taira how do you think they're handling his bringing him up? Because clearly he's doing the opposite of what we usually get from
Mikhaev.
prospects. I mean, I don't think he's been even on a main card. He's been on the prelims of the prelims. So I'm kind of, I don't know. What do you think? This is very un-UFC.
I don't really get it either because I mean, like he and Mikhaev are, I would like they're basically the same age and honestly probably the same level of prospect, right? Like they're very, very good, and they have sort of given Mikhaev a huge bump immediately. And I honestly would have thought it'd be the other way, just because they. How many great Japanese fighters does the UFC currently have? Like,
I
Tyra
think
can be that dude for them.
I think it's a little different in the fact that Muhammad Makhachev was like 28-0 as like an amateur, so he had a crazy amount of experience just fighting. I think he's like a multiple time like
He won the
IMMAF.
IMF.
Yeah, like a few
twice.
times.
Which you fight like 4 times in a week.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that's how you
that
get
number
to
really
20
gets
things.
exaggerated.
You fight like 8 in a month or whatever.
He's
Yeah.
also he speaks Russian, he speaks English, he trains with Tom Aspinall. I just think he had more things going for him. He fought in London. He could
Oh,
fight
I
in
forgot
Abu
the
Dhabi.
whole English thing is definitely a big bump on him too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely
Dagestani.
easier
In
to
the London
promote
cards.
Mikhaev
for sure.
from UFC.
Like-
It's very. 'Cause
Well, and he
does
just gets the
himself.
London spots, you know.
He's fought in
Huge
London
bump.
and Abu Dhabi, and that's it. And now
Yeah.
he's about to fight in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I just think it's easier to promote him, and honestly they're giving him like every fight is another step up in competition too. They're not just throwing him into the top 5. Beating Tim Elliott is super impressive, and Alex Perez, if he makes weight and shows up, is also going to be an impressive win if Makhachev wins.
Yeah,
But
and I think UFC fans or just American fans in general don't realize what a small impact UFC has in Japan.
For
It's just
sure.
it is not a thing. Like PFL, honestly, is probably just as big in Japan as UFC is.
Well, obviously
So-
they're the co-leaders.
yeah, come on, dog.
Thank you. Hey, Don Davis, he nailed it. Got it.
He's right
Except
the
for
whole
they
time.
aren't 80. They aren't 80% Asian, so I don't know how that math factors into the co-leading part with Japan.
That tire's super fun.
Dude, Tyra's super fun. One day
Biggest
in
favorite
like
on the
3
card.
years, we're gonna have Tyra versus Mikhaev for the belt, and that's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
Garcia Costa is going to be super fun too. We're supposed to get it last week, but we're getting it this week. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yes. I like this question.
Do you guys think Anthony Smith is regretting taking this fight now that Rakic has no opponent?
Maybe.
That's a really good question, honestly. Probably, yeah. Like, I think if the offer, like if he had known, if that had been on the table, hey, would you rather fight Rakic in a few weeks with like more prep time, or you want to fight Rountree? Like, arguably Rountree is the easier fight, but taking it with less prep time. Yeah.
Cool.
What do you think about that? Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, like we've done this before, haven't we? Though
What do you mean?
they fought.
Yeah, but they also said they were down to rematch at one point.
Both of them said that. I didn't know that.
Well, this was when after the Rakic fight, Anthony Smith racked up a couple wins, and Anthony Smith racked up a couple wins after the Rakic loss, and I think Rakic had only fought one time since that, and Anthony Smith got like really active. So it was one of those rare occasions where it honestly also did kind of make sense ranking wise, because Anthony Smith had won 3 in a row and Rakic had only won 1 since, and he had a long layoff, and there was really no one else in that division. And Rakic was like, "All right, works for me," and it just never happened.
Yeah, I just remember. I remember the first fight.
It wasn't great.
It was not good. It was one-way traffic.
It was
And not fun
was
to watch.
Basically, Rakic took him down basically every round, right? And kind of helped.
Yep.
That fight was not entertaining, but it made me go,
Dominant.
"Whoa, Rakic is way better than I thought he was."
He's quite good. If he could
Yeah.
not be injured, he'd be better.
Yeah. So
That would help him a lot.
big if true. Big if true.
Big if true.
Saying.
There you go. So in November 2021, Anthony Smith hurt his knee, and that scrapped the rematch. But both guys were down to rematch.
Oh, all right. Interesting. I will say no to that question though, because I do think Anthony fighting now helps his timing out to potentially get a title shot, because right now with Rakic not having an opponent, he's not even fighting in January. Now he's going to fight
He
Yuri
might not
Prochazka February or March at this point. So
looking like March.
yeah, I mean Rakic would
That's a
probably
fun
take.
fight.
Yeah, Rakic Prochazka is probably more compelling to Rakic, and then on top of that, the further back Rakic goes from getting another fight, it helps out Anthony Smith in terms of time if he beats Khalil Rountree and Pereira wants to fight somebody. So I would say no.
All right.
PFL fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Tom
questions.
Tom
about
Breeze
this
with the
card.
very slick transition right here.
Nice.
This
Full
PFL
house.
card actually has some solid names on it. It would be great if you could watch it.
I know, right?
Well, Jed is in Europe right now. By the way, we didn't tell anyone. He's not in his home in Atlanta.
My computer might think I'm in Europe.
Mike Jose, thoughts on the Patriots season and Belichick? So Jose's
this
not
is a
Patriots
terrific
fan at all.
question.
I'm not a Patriots fan, so
Oh, that's right. You're a Packers fan.
yes, sir.
It's great season for you.
So I will say,
we're overachieving.
You did it
I will
again.
say-
You did it again.
I spoke with John Anik earlier today. You'll see that interview, but we had a little therapy session about the Patriots for like
Tommy
15
Breeze gets
minutes
the tap,
after.
boys.
Yes.
First round.
They suck. Like, they're so bad. Their offense is
they won.
a travesty. Yeah, they did. They beat the Bills
That
this year.
offense
which is
actually looked
hilarious.
okay last night.
Bailey Zappi, man, coming through. It's amazing what happens when you pull Mac Jones off the field. But so I heard somebody say yesterday on WEI when I was streaming it that the Patriots are in a worse position now than they were when Bill Belichick took over the team. And I could not disagree more with that statement.
I disagree with that.
Completely disagree with that, because I think they have like a decent nucleus.
Well,
they just need to get a couple more offense. They need a quarterback, and they need like a receiver who can make a big play. Defense is good. Their defense is really good.
Question. They're saying that the Patriots now are in a worse position than when Bill Belichick took over for Pete Carroll. Is that what you're saying?
Essentially, yeah.
So are you saying that they're in a better position or in a worse position?
I don't think it's cut and dry that they're in a worse position than they were.
Pete Carroll won back-to-back wild cards, if I remember correctly, when Bill Belichick took over, and they had Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy, who are Hall of Famers. Yeah. I don't see anyone on this Patriots team making the Hall of Fame. Like, that Patriots team was sick. They went to the Super Bowl like 3 years prior. That defense was god level too. Bailey Zappi's got to be your guy though.
Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott looked good. Hunter Henry's looked good. When you actually throw him the fucking football, I mean, let's go. What are we doing here?
Bailey Zappi is not your guy. You guys actually screwed up. You needed to lose last night. That was just a bad maneuver.
I don't think so.
I mean, you're still in pole position to get a top 2 pick, but
do you know who has?
They're gonna trade it anyways for like 4 third-rounders, like they always do.
You gotta draft Drake May. You just gotta do it.
Yeah.
And you got to fire Bill because Bill cannot develop a quarterback.
Yeah, they suck. They're not very good, but man, if we could play the Steelers every week, we'd be 17-0 this year. Bill Belichick.
I do love Mike Tomlin's commitment to the bit of losing to Bill Belichick every year.
10-3, baby. 10-3.
I don't know anything. I'm just all right. Yeah. Football.
Belichick's not going to get fired either. I don't think that's going to happen.
Belichick is not.
I think they're going to amicably part ways.
I think Bill Belichick, if anything, is just going to get elevated to just still president of football operations, and someone's just going to become
that. Would be way worse.
Yeah,
that would just be way worse.
Bill Belichick should if he wants to win, he should go to the Bills because Bill Belichick with that team would be sick.
Just coach and only coach. Don't do anything. Don't be the GM. Don't be the director of football operations. Just fucking coach, and I think you'll be all right.
But are you happy, Mike, with the Patriots? Is this just part of the process of being a fan? Just ups and downs?
I can't be too upset. I cannot be too upset.
Who in there? Like this is the thing.
We have like all the championships.
So
I can't be that mad.
I'm in a rare scenario where like I grew up in New England, but I'm not a Patriots fan, so I grew up surrounded by these people.
These people.
I say that Patriots fans believe that everyone else thinks about them more than we actually do, which is odd because everyone's like, "Oh, they hate us." I'm like, "We don't even think about you." No one that watches football even thought the Patriots would finish in third. Like the Jets have Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the preseason. The Dolphins have an electric offense, and everyone knew that. And the Bills are one of the best teams when they, play up to their standards. If you thought the Patriots were going to finish anything above fourth place, you were an idiot. You're just basing off of past glory. The Patriots are performing exactly how they were supposed to. Terribly. The AFC is incredibly stacked. They have to play 3 unbelievable teams in 6 times a year. They were never making the playoffs.
Yeah. All I cared about this year was could Mac Jones come anywhere close to his rookie season.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, has that not happened. Jeez Louise.
McCorkle Jones turns out to be bad at football. More news at 5. That's his real name.
Yeah. So he's not good at football? Like he's not like he was good one year, then he's not good now? What happened?
It's
pretty much exactly that
rookie
case.
Year.
He just
he had a very
how can you be like one of the greatest athletes in the world and then 6 months later you just
it's the football is very different in the sense that like Alex Smith at one point when he was on the 49ers looked like he was a bust, but he had like 5 different coaches in 5 years. So it's hard to, when you get a new playbook every year and you lose weapons every year, you just basically have to rebuild your offense and rebuild your approach to football. And that is difficult, especially for a player that's under 30. The second Alex Smith got any sort of stability, he became very, very good. And then he got hurt, and this young upstart named Pat Mahomes took over, and you're never going to play football again. Same thing as Drew Bledsoe. This young upstart named Tom Brady came in when he got hurt, and that's a wrap, Jack. So Mac Jones needs also, if you have what's that fat bearded dork that was the offense coordinator last year? Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia's your offense coordinator.
Offensive coordinator.
If Matt Patricia is your offense coordinator, you're gonna be bad at football because he is bad at coaching the offense. Huge, that blew up in Bill Belichick's face.
The shortest version of this is he was decent, and then they broke him with incompetence and stupidity.
Yes, correct.
Yes. And now Mike Bobo will be the new offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots.
I would pay so much money to send him to you. That's just 2 wins for me.
By the way, some card news. Luana Santos will be fighting tomorrow. Fined 20%. 20% of her purse. Should have fought for a little bit more
making
than
the
that.
walk to the PFL cage.
And
to the smart cage.
Last comment.
There you go.
Lots of turtles.
Turtle,
5
turtle.
5 turtles.
Turtle.
Was
Back to
the Master of Disguise.
Master of Disguise.
No
one actually saw the movie.
Film.
No one.
I saw it.
I only saw the trailer, and I just saw the trailer.
It's friggin' hilarious. It's super fun.
David Donahue Kroll is the best person alive, I've decided. He's about to fight Brett Johns. This event happening, PFL Europe, is happening in Dublin. He is French fighting out of Switzerland, and he's rolling to the cage in a Mexican sombrero. That is just as international as PFL could ever get right there.
Shout out to the co-leader.
I love this PFL Europe live watch along. It's great, man.
Look, Brett Johns is fighting. They've got like real people fighting on this card. It would be great if you could watch it in America.
Which you are not.
If you could watch this in America
right now.
Yeah, you're in Europe.
My computer believes I am in Europe. Yes.
Someone in Europe is FaceTiming Jed, showing their television.
I got connections like that.
Would anyone really be watching this if it was airing here? I mean, I know people are told, "Well, it's not airing here."
I'd have it on.
I would.
I would have it noon. We're the wrong audience. We are the wrong audience.
We're literally paid to watch fights.
Yeah.
But
we're the wrong people.
If I wasn't paid to watch fights and I like had a day job, it's at noon. I would absolutely have it up on a screen the same way I do with like the Masters or whatever. It's like, I can throw this on. I don't have to be focused.
I believe those same people would still be watching it like you. Like right now, they would find a way.
Oh no, I'm not confident that they're going to go to the extremes that I did to investigate this fight card.
Investigate.
But if it's just on ESPN, you know, my broadcast partner that I just signed a new deal with, and I go to ESPN and hit the watch tab, and it's one of the 8 things. Like if I go to ESPN right now, shouts to ESPN, and I click watch, and I scroll over, there is so much stuff. I can watch the Clemson track and field opener. I can watch, I don't even know what some of this garbage is, but I can't, like, the PFL couldn't get one of these things. Merrimack versus Vermont, NCAA
Shout out
women's
Merrimack.
hockey.
Merrimack.
Shout out Merrimack. New
Zalgiris
Hampshire.
Kaunas versus AS Monaco, a international basketball Euro League. Like, you couldn't pre-sale for UFC 296. You can't get one of those to put up PFL on. The hell are we doing?
ESPN, write a check. Write a check to PFL Europe, and they will air it.
Well, PFL just do it for free. Offer them the free content. Who cares? Make it so people can watch your product. It's like, get a VPN to do this shit.
Dakota Jakave is on this card. They're trying to push her as like a potential star, but yet
She's
nobody can
fighting
watch
for
her fight.
the Europe title or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Co-leader, baby. The
You
co-leader.
put PFL, you put PFL right in front of me right now. I'm probably still gonna look the other way.
Well, that's
That being
harsh.
said,
I will
the
go
music.
out of my way to not watch this.
I hate that smart
Oh,
cage so
man.
much. All right. We good, gentlemen?
hit the music. Yeah, we're
Back to
we're-
Otani
we're
Watch
good.
2023.
Yeah, so Tani Watch.
I'm excited about that.
Are you even allowed to talk about it?
I can.
I read
We
that
all
he's
can.
anti-people talking about it.
He's anti people that are. He's anti like teams that are courting and talking about it. Which is why one of the
I was
owners.
just leak stuff to the press from.
Well, one of the owners ran up on a journalist at the owners meetings because a reporter had did his job that I believe it was the Cubs had met with Otani or something, and then obviously Otani didn't want leaks to happen, so the owner like ran up on this reporter and like got in his face.
Well,
Totally normal, sane thing.
Yeah,
sports, baby. It's sports.
Sports
Casey and I will be
ball.
back. Casey and I will be back tomorrow. I think 7 p.m. Eastern for the People's Pre-Fight Show. We'll keep you posted. But thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Bye.
Ooh, Shang Vegas, baby. Love y'all.
UFC Shang Vegas.
That was ultimately why we were here, not to talk about PFL or football or Otani.
Happy birthday, AK.